I thought I was the happiest girl in the world until that summer, when everything changed. Prologue. Ocean Springs, Mississippi 2003. Daddy, play something good. Bo beamed down at the darling girl that was nestled on the couch, clutching a stuffed puppy in the crook of her little elbow. Her big doe eyes were bright and brimming with childlike wonder. His daughter was the thing he cherished most in this world. From her two-souled brown, curly locks to the remnants of sticky popsicle juice on her full lips and rosy cheeks, the girl was the light of his life. All right, baby girl. See if you can groove to this little tune. 𝐊𝐢𝐳𝐷𝐞𝐻𝐿, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Lifting the stylus of the turntable between his fingers gently, he knew from the moment he saw the way his daughter reacted to music that she was more like him than her mother. It was something that made him very happy. To be able to share his passion for music with his child was a gift sent from heaven above. Bo found the perfect record from his expansive collection and placed it on the player. A grin painted on his face. As the music filled the room, his little girl jumped for joy as she began dancing happily on the rug, twisting and turning with her pink ring sticking out. She loved the Doobie Brothers, and it made Bo a proud papa. The little southern princess that she was, she twirled and spun to the sound of black water. Her cheeks began to redden from the exertion and heat of the summer temperatures. The heat didn't seem to faze her. She continued on with determination, chuckling to himself. Bo turned and started to dance too. His movements were very overdramatic and sloppy, but it was all on purpose, because as soon as he began his ridiculous dance, his precious little girl erupted in a fit of giggles, her sky-blue dress whirling in the air when she jumped up and down. He was nothing if not an expert at making her laugh. Daddy, you're so silly. Her sweet little voice bursting with joy. Bo grinned. Is that so? You don't think your old man can dance? An eyebrow raised. Isn't this how it's done? Suddenly, his arms flew in the air and he waved them around like a crazy person. He was awarded with more giggles for his performance. As the song came to a close, Bo dropped onto the couch, out of breath from all the shenanigans but still wearing a thoughtful smile on his lips. Daddy, can I pick an album now? At her words, Bo nodded. Sure thing, baby girl. 𝐊𝐢𝐧𝐶, he said in between pants of breath. Careful with it. Sugar. He watched with pride as his 3-year-old daughter expertly pulled a vinyl from the shelf and slipped it free of its sleeve. Her tiny, pudgy fingers lifted the stylus and replaced the record. She grinned wide, one of her 2 front teeth missing, adding an endearing gap in her smile. With her stuffed toy in hand, she climbed onto her daddy's lap and snuggled into his arms while the music started to play with a few warm crackles. Bo wrapped his arm around his princess, when he began to hear a wonderful sound. It was the sound of a steely dance song. He then realized that hadn't even showed her the band yet and quizzically peered down at her. Baby girl, mind telling me how you know this one? He questioned as he played with the soft chestnut ringlets on top of her head. Her dark eyes stared up at him with something akin to 𝐊𝐢𝐳𝐷, trying to hide his amusement at her sudden shyness. Well, she sighed, when you're not here, mama's always busy. I get so bored, so I gotta listen to some of your music. It makes me happy. Daddy, she explained, nervously fiddling with her skirt. Bo smiled and pinched his daughter's cheeks to get her to look at him. Never be ashamed of music. Baby girl, never, he reminded her, and she lit up at his words. All the guilt and appreciation gone as she wrapped her arms around his middle. Understand? Yes, sir. She nodded profusely and Bo let out a chuckle. I love you, Daddy, mumbled his daughter, snuggling deeper into him with a sigh. Daddy loves you more. Hendrix. 1 Virginia Moon, Virginia present day, Cedric POV. My motorcycle rumbles underneath me, purring and vibrating as it flies down the road like a Mustang. This is what makes me free. A nice long ride on my bike is the best thing to clear my mind. I'm a bit out of my element here. Thousands of miles away from my home. A whole world away from my pack. The stress builds up fast at the remembrance that my people are without their alpha. This mission, however, is beyond worth the small sacrifice, and I'll just have to push through it. This is something I need to do. Trees fly by as I make my way down the long, open road that winds around the hills. The sun is setting in the far distance, dipping down past the blue mountains and turning the sky a brilliant shade of pink. I crank the accelerator harder in my hand, propelling myself even faster and pushing the limits of the vehicle. I don't care about the danger. I am, to my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing 𝐊𝐤𝐧𝐑𝐚 enthusiasm. Indestructible. My heart has been in my throat for the majority of the week, but this always seems to diffuse the tension somewhat. Always makes me feel better. After an hour and a half of riding, I head back to my temporary home. I zoom through the small town, slowing down as I near a red light at intersection. I come to a stop, my head turning this way and that to observe the little college town I've found myself dropped in. It's crawling with young humans that are excited to start their lives with education, others looking like fair zombies after hours of homework. I'm suddenly glad I've never been to college, especially because I would rather not be surrounded by a sea of humans of all things. I am so much more than them. I'm above things such as a college education, not that I ever needed to go in the first place. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing 𝐊𝐤𝐧𝐑𝐚 enthusiasm. To 123 years I have enough knowledge to keep me company. There isn't much else I need to learn. College is for clueless humans, not ancient animals built for ruling. The light flips to green, and I roll forward slowly, obeying the speed limit laws reluctantly. Don't want to gain any more attention than I already get looking the way I do. In trying to keep low profile, when humans see me, they can't but stare at me. I am a strange, awful sight to them, but I stopped letting it bother me a long time ago. I am a icon after all. They'll be spending the rest of eternity with this face, so I really don't see the point in dwelling on it. It's kind of difficult to stay inconspicuous when you look the way I do. Not to mention, people tell me I have RBF, resting bitch face. When I get to the apartment I dismount and park my bike, leaving my baby behind as I make my way up the cement stairs. I slide my helmet off and shake out my hair, sighing as I think of getting a much-needed shower. When I walk, a door to one of the countless apartments opens, revealing a short human man with a suit on. He turns around to lock his door behind him. When he spots me on his way out, his mouth literally drops open. I'm over a foot taller than him and my shoulders are twice the size of his. I look at him as he gawks up at me with wide, terrified eyes. His heart begins thudding quickly inside his slim chest, his hands betraying him as they start to shake. The human's keys clink together, echoing off the walls. His fear scent offends me. My nose scrunches up and I can't help but glare at him the more he stares at me. Can I help you? I demand, using my alpha voice. Take a picture. It'll last longer. I spit, shaking my head and continuing on my way without so much as a glance back at him. And yet, even as I walk away, I can hear him stumbling down the stairs in a hurry to scuttle away from me as if he'll turn around and pounce on him. Who knows? Maybe I will. I am tempted after all. Stupid damn humans. They always remind me of bugs. Little vermin littering the streets. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing 𝐊𝐤𝐧𝐑𝐚 enthusiasm. I've made friends with a human here and there. It's hard not to with as many wars as I've been in throughout my many long years on Earth. But that had been different. The human men I fought beside throughout the years were brave, fighting for their countries and rights. Nothing like pansies they've turned into now. If only they could see what their future generations would bring. Normal human men now walk down the street in socks and sandals, afraid of their own shadows. I scoff. They have no backbone whatsoever. The mortal male I encountered moments ago is proof enough. It irritates me. I try to push past it, but I can't help but be annoyed by his mere existence. Not to mention the females. They're like lost little fawns, helpless and confused. I try to stay away from humans at all costs, and now I'm being forced to interact with them on a daily basis. Lucky me. It was my choice to take on this mission. A mission to hunt down the infamous Red Alpha. The enemy I've been after for the past year after he took something very important away from me. My third in command. My trusted friend. My brother in arms. My 𝐏𝐚𝐜. Wheeler didn't deserve to be brutally murdered. And us Lycans are hard to kill. To kill one of my kind you need a silver knife to impale our hearts. Not exactly an easy thing when we're literal beasts on the battlefield. When I shift into my like an 𝐊𝐲𝐬𝐷 30 tall, and with more strength than an army of human men, entering my apartment, you're not surprised to see any beta on my couch, looking at me expectantly. Where exactly have you been? Savannah asks, her thick black hair swaying as she stands up and gives me a suspicious look. Savannah is my second in command. She's always vigilant and uptight, but she's good at what she does. So how can I complain? Oh, you know, checking out the area. Who knows how long we'll be here. Need to scout the place out. I explain nonchalantly, not looking to have her in a pissy mood that I skipped out on our meeting to take a ride on my bike. I've known Savannah for over 1 year, and she knows me well. Yeah, right. You're always faking to go ride on that hunk of junk. She rolls her eyes at me. My bike is not junk, but I keep my mouth shut. I'm not much of a talker, especially when it comes to arguing. It's a useless waste of time. Savannah knows my motorcycle is one of the few things I enjoy, and yet she loved to complain about it. But it doesn't amuse me. Nothing amuses me. I don't get amused. My beta knows this, but it doesn't stop her and many others from trying to get all F out of me. I can't remember the last time I laughed. Well, we need to set up cameras around town, especially the more remote areas. Check this out. She waves me over as she grabs for her laptop, centering it on the coffee table and turning it on. Another thing I'm not fond of. Technology. I've survived centuries without it. Why do I need it now? I hang up my helmet, slipping my leather jacket from my shoulders before sitting next to her, stretching my legs out in front of me while I attempt to relax. This better not be another jump scare video you love to show me. I don't scare. I tell her on a monotone voice. She should know better. She snorts, shaking her head and looking back at me over her shoulder, her shirt slipping down to reveal her taunt skin. Read this. Her hand reaches for the screen, tilting the computer so I can get a look at it. I lean forward and lazily run my eyes over the news article. Local man spots massive walls near Evington Creek in Southern Virginia. I frown at the screen and scroll through it quickly, taking in the few details listed from the interview with the man. The article clearly makes it obvious that the man is likely crazy, but I know otherwise. This is the whole reason why he rafter or YK, knowing full well what the answer will be. Well, it does say that the guy saw a giant white wolf, so we'll let you decide for yourself. Savannah shrugs, shutting her laptop without another word, letting me simmer in the news. A YK is the Red Alpha sidekick. He was a Lycan, and an albino. His hair and skin are as light as snow. Is easy to spot, hard to catch. Is why we were sent here in the first place. It's obvious 𝐻ES laying low in this area, and the guard insisted that I come here undercover to scope it out. The guard is like an army mixed with the FBI, except their sole purpose is to protect supernatural creatures. They work alongside the human governments to protect and hide the existence of the different supernatural species. I used to work with the guard frequently. In fact, I was one of the founders all those years ago. I only left a few hundred years ago or so, starting my own pack in Montana when it was added to the United States. I was among the first settlers in the West, all to start the Slate Penumbra pack. That's when I met Savannah. Suffice it to say, I am damned proud of my pack. I settled it among a very small Native American tribe of Lycans that were struggling with the idea of humans encroaching on their land. They let me join them, become their alpha, help them. Since then I've never wanted to leave. They're mine to protect and care for. My pack is now the most powerful pack in the world and I am their leader. My pack is my home, but I left it to destroy one of the biggest threats to shift a kind. The ruthless Red Alpha. He is notorious for slaughtering shifters left and right. She is merciless, and the thought of him being out there is enough alone to make me come on this assignment. He is a threat to the safety of my pack, and I will not let him hurt them again. After losing Wheeler, this is the only option I have to ensure they are safe. Even if it means pretending to be a human college professor. One thing's for sure. It will be an interesting experience that more than likely will end with me being annoyed and ready to tear someone's head off. Who knows? I'm not averse to cracking a few skulls. To hang the DJ Hendrix POV come on in. Have a drink. Let loose. There's a little. Stacy hollers louder than necessary to be heard over the booming music. The pounding of the bass and the cheers of people drive my head into a new level of hurt. It's a big party. And one of the first nights since school started that we can actually do something to take our minds off of studying. College does seem like a very mature thing. But my best friends and I are only 18. If I remember correctly, is under the legal drinking age. Thank you very much. In good. I insist. Holding up my red Solo cup filled with Mountain Dew. Though I've only taken a few sips here and there. The acidic taste isn't exactly my cup of tea, but it's the only non-alcoholic beverage available here. Stacy's pretty face crunches up in disapproval, but she continues dancing with fast, jittery movements that somehow come across graceful. The girl couldn't look clumsy if she tried. Her short, black hair is full of pink streaks that catch the flashing lights as she twirls and laughs. A pair of cat ears perched on her head. Stacy is the epitome of a partier, and she isn't afraid to show it. As cliché as it sounds, I have always hated parties. Not that I feel like I'm somehow above people who do enjoy the party scene, but it's definitely not my scene. The humidity between the sweaty bodies, the stench of beer on every person's breath, and the constant crowd of leering guys catcalling and flirting like there's no tomorrow. It's all too chaotic. I can't see how anyone can find it fun, but to each their own, I suppose. And then there's the music. Oh, how I hate the music. It's always the same. Loud, pulsing pop and rap songs that millennials eat up like a 5-course meal. Stacy and Miranda, my two best friends, call me a music snob for my complaints. I consider myself more of a music expert. Personally, I don't judge people for liking what's on the radio. Music is freedom, and that's what's so great about it. Everyone has their own personal taste. Party music just makes me sad. There are millions of songs. To my agent extraordinaire, Marilyn Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm, and genres. Music has been recorded since the 1870s. That's almost 150 years worth of music. But people still insist on listening to what everyone else is listening to. I can never understand why anyone would settle for exclusively listening to what's popular when there is a whole world of recorded music to discover. That's all it is. No snob here. Not me. It makes absolutely no sense to me. But that does not make me some hipster. WOO. Stacy slurs, and I look up to see her sitting on a football player's broad shoulders. She raises two beers in the air. The crowd of people around us erupting in cheers and screams loud enough to burst an eardrum or two. Stacy turns both bottles upside down above her mouth, doing in the sewage quickly as everyone chants chug. In unison, people begin to crowd around me, and to being a small person I begin to get lost in the swarm as I'm jerked and smooshed around. I try to breathe, try to stay calm, but I can't. I desperately begin clawing at people, trying to get air. I'm in a sea of people being swept to the bottom by the current. A hand wraps around my arm, pulling me out into the side. I squeak in terror, horrified that I'm being dragged. Are you okay? Miranda. It's just Miranda. Come washes over me and I nod profusely, trying to reassure her. I was just, checking out the floors. Very nice. Mahogany, I think. It's too embarrassing to admit that I was nearly trampled to death. I don't exactly have a great track record for being graceful. Some party, huh? Ignoring my strange rambling, observing the ongoing crowd with a small spark of excitement in her eyes. Anna isn't as party crazy as Stacy, but she does like these type of things a heck of a lot more than I do. Anyone could see that. Looks about the same as every other party all drag me to. I comment dryly, observing Stacy as she crowd surfs while she sings along to whatever song is currently blaring on. Belinda smiles down at me, shrugging her thin shoulders with a look of innocence. Tomorrow it's back to classes. Why not have some fun to forget for a little bit? She says, winking at me. Well, the forgetting part looks like it's working, because Stacy doesn't seem to remember she has to wake up at 7 tomorrow. I would hate to imagine the pain of her hangover. And Miranda both laugh out loud. Somehow I think she'll be all right, she says, but I don't question the strange comment. Eventually, we try to make our way to the front of the frat house. I say try because we're stopped many times by leering dudes who can't keep their eyes off of the fabulous Miranda. She's a leggy girl that tops at 62. Her light, strawberry blonde hair is swept into a ponytail, and her fantastical eyes are eerily similar to the color of the sky in the spring. Not to mention the strange power that oozes from her. It's hard not to be drawn to her. She is easily the prettiest girl in this house. Scratch that. The prettiest girl on campus. Hands down. She turns down every guy that speaks to her. They're all drunk anyways. Otherwise they wouldn't have the courage to talk to her, let alone look for too long. That's the way it's always been, even in high school. Stacy and I have been friends since the 8th grade, and moved into town halfway through junior year. My two best friends are cousins. Even though they look nothing alike, they even lived in the same gated community. And for Mississippi that's very rare, being the poorest state. There aren't many people with money, but Miranda and Stacy are part of the lucky minority. All three of us became really close, so close that we're basically sisters, and I can't imagine my life without them. Hey guys. Wait. All 80s. Stacy shouts as she runs towards us, pushing past people with her elbows. Her face is flushed pink, her smile contagious even though it's alcohol-induced. She bumps into me in her haste, splashing my Mountain Dew onto her shoes. Oops, 𝐿𝐢𝐳. She giggles and sloshes her heels in the soda as she begins marching in place. That's okay. I already spilled some beer on them. I shake my head and smile. Stacy is fun to be around when she's drunk, carefree and light-hearted. When she's sober, she can be a bit pissy, and too sassy. She slings her arm over my shoulder, leaning on my smaller body as she laughs some more for no reason. Miranda and I watch her with humor-filled gazes. This side of our friend amuses us. We eventually maneuver her through the front door and out onto the lawn. Miranda and I work together to help her walk. Miranda being the one doing most of the work, seeing as how much stronger she's than me. As we neared Stacy's 2007 Subaru Outback, she yips with glee when she spots her little car. Yay driving. I get to drive. To my agent extraordinaire, 𝐊𝐢𝐳 𝐬𝐩𝐿, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. To my agent extraordinaire, 𝐊𝐢𝐳 𝐬𝐩𝐿, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. To my agent extraordinaire, 𝐊𝐢𝐳 𝐬𝐩𝐿, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. She shouts and I share a mischievous grin with Miranda as we hold back our giggles. I don't think you'll be driving tonight. I explain as we reach the car. Miranda takes the keys out of her purse and unlocks the doors. We open the back and try to get Stacy to climb in. I'm not even that drunk. I only had like 52 beers and a few full bottles of vodka. And those margaritas weren't that strong, so those don't even count. I raised an eyebrow at her words, knowing full well that if she had that much alcohol she would be dead. But Andy gave her a stern glare for some odd reason, before she continues to shove our very drunk friend into the vehicle. After a few minutes, We finally have Stacy situated and buckled in. I go around the car and slide in next to her so I can keep a close eye on her. Miranda cranks the car, and it rumbles to life. We take off down the street towards our shared apartment. Stacy snuggles next to me and slumps down into my lap, resting her head on my thighs and sighing contently. I run my fingers through her hair gently, trying to soothe her to sleep. "Oh, Henny, I love you so much," she says, and I smile. "I love you too." Making eye contact with Miranda in the rearview mirror. Amusement fills her blue eyes before returning to the dark road. "I wish you could never die," Stacy says, and I hold back a laugh. She's making no sense. "Then you could live with me and my Anna for the rest of forever," she mumbles, and I snicker a little bit. I try to look at my Andy again, but her eyes are fixed on the road with determination. Her hands are gripping the steering wheel tightly, and from where I sit, I can see her jaw is clenched. That's strange. I tilt my head in confusion. She's probably just tired of Stacy's drunk ramblings. Miranda is usually super patient. I wonder absently why she's acting so weird. Maybe she's just about school or something. Brushing it off, I nestle into the seat and close my eyes. Exhaustion from the night finally taking over. Screeching fills the apartment and I immediately cover my ears to protect them from the shrill sound. My crazy best friend is running around our apartment overturning everything trying to find her favorite heeled booties. "Where the hell are they?" Stacy squeaks, falling to the floor to look under the couch, peering down at my bowl of cereal. I smirk to myself. Of course Stacy woke up late, and I'm guessing it has something to do with all of that drinking last night. She doesn't seem affected by a hangover in the least bit, and I attribute it to sheer luck. Maybe her body is immune at this point, getting used to the party life. I wouldn't be surprised. I swear I will tear down the walls if I can't find them. I'm not going anywhere until they're on my feet. Stacy begins going through our kitchen cabinets in her search. Even though the cupboards are all but empty, we only moved into months ago, and we've yet to buy enough dishes or food to fill them all. Not to mention Stacy keeps most of her food stashed under her bed like an animal saving up food for the winter. "Found them!" I hear Miranda shout in triumph. She prances into the room, holding them high in the air. Stacy dashes for them, but our extremely tall friend raises them high above her head so she can't reach them. "To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Stacy's exasperated voice sounds evil as she practically tries to climb and like a tree. "Only if you promise to leave the drinking for non-school nights," Miranda says in a 𝐶𝐮𝐬 voice. I laugh at the scene in front of me. We don't yet have cable in our apartment, but this is all the entertainment I need. "You win," Stacy grumbles, holding out her hands, finally rewarded with her favorite shoes. As soon as she gets her fingers around them, she's hastily strapping them onto her feet as she sits in the middle of the kitchen floor. That cold tile can't be comfortable. She jumps up, wiping her pants off and doing a dramatic twirl as if she's a model. "Don't you think your makeup is a little dramatic for school?" Miranda inquires, sliding into a chair across from me and snagging the box of waffle crisp that sits in front of me. Shimmer eyes are a bit glam for a business management class. I manage with a mouthful of half-chewed cereal. This morning, despite waking up late, Stacy decorated her beautiful Asian eyes with loads of orange glitter. It's not unusual for her to go overboard with her makeup, and a lot of people give her weird looks, but she doesn't seem to care at all. Stacy glares at us as she picks her purse up off the coat hanger and slings the strap onto her shoulder. "I look great. You are just jealous." She shrugs her shoulders and with a smile opens the door and rushes out, slamming it behind her. I honestly feel bad. She has the first class of the day at 8, all alone. All of us have classes at different times, seeing as how we all chose different majors. Mine, To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Is music. I have to take music theory and music composition this semester. Some of my other courses are exiting too. In taking some English courses, so instead of settling for some basic English class, I chose literature history. My schedule is packed mostly because on top of my classes I work long hours, which is a bit overwhelming. I need to pay my way through school all by myself after all. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Well, I'm bored. I'm going to check out that little coffee shop on campus. Miranda stands and stretches out her long arms. Hey, how about you come with? I shrug my shoulders. It sounds good to me. Hot chocolate doesn't sound too bad in the cold. It's almost October in a couple of weeks after all. And this Mississippi girl isn't used to the chilly autumn breezes up north. After getting dressed, we walk to campus. It takes us no time at all to find the little coffee shop. All we had to do was follow our noses. When we get inside, the place is buzzing with life. College students go about chatting and laughing it up. The smell of fresh coffee and cinnamon rolls fills the air, and it's toasty warm inside. I like the atmosphere very much. What do you want? Miranda asks, squinting at the menu like she can't see it well, which is an act if I ever saw one. We all know she has crazy amazing eyesight. Another one of her flawless qualities. Just a small hot chocolate. Glancing around for an empty table for us. Spotting one. I make my way towards it 𝐊𝐲 and gets in the long line. I slide into one of the chairs, observing the busy coffee shop around me. Nobody seems to pay me much attention, which I like, as in glancing at the artwork on the walls. A loud guy's voice erupts behind me. Did you hear about what that guy saw in the woods this week? Someone asks, and I look over my shoulder to see a small group of people sitting in the table beside ours. Not wanting to be caught staring, I quickly turn back around. Well, he was like walking around, trying to find his dog that ran off. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He says he heard a twig snap, and when he turned around he saw a bunch of wolves. A few gusts are heard from the group, and I stiffen at a thought. There aren't wolves in Virginia. Everybody knows that. Yeah, and he said they were all staring at him like he was some piece of meat. A shudder goes through my body, but I tell myself not to listen. The guy is lying, and there's no probability about it. Then, out of nowhere, a ginormous one showed up, like as tall as the trees or some shit. Guy says it was pure white with black. Evil eyes. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. You're just trying to scare us, some girl says, and I can't help agreeing with her. He needs to stop spreading rumors. There is no way there were any wolves here, especially ones of impossible size. I didn't say it was true. Babe, just saying the guy was on the news telling his story and I thought it was hilarious. She is just some crazy old drunk. I mean, he lives in a trailer. I cringe at that last part since I've lived in a trailer my whole life. They continue their conversation, but I tune it out as my thoughts take over. The guy is probably a crazy old man or junkie that hallucinated the whole thing, or someone who just really craves attention. I try to shrug it off, but this strange sensation of foreboding climbs up my spine. As I try to figure out what's happening to me, Miranda suddenly appears. She's a weird look in her eyes as she gazes at the kids behind me that are now laughing, completely moving on from their previous conversation. Hey. Grabbing her attention, she looks at me, then back to the group before she finally sits down. Miranda pushes my hot chocolate towards me, reaching for my wallet to pay her back. Don't mention it, and money won't be necessary. It's on me. She flashes a knowing smile at me. I'm poor. I've always been poor. It's a simple fact of life I have learned to accept. You sure? Knowing the answer. How 𝐿𝐷 always buy things for me and refuse to take any compensation. My friends are degenerates. Positive. She replies, but her eyes remain focused on something behind me, looking like she's lost deep in thought. 𝐊𝐢𝐳𝐷𝐿𝐷. I grumble as I push the heavy door open with all my might, a little bit upset with myself for taking such a stupid class. Music theory. Yeah. It sounded fun when I signed up. Sure, but it is anything but. The amount of homework I have to complete in 2 days is absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. 3 hours of reading and an essay. And that's on light day. I don't know how I work until 1 a.m. Finish this load of homework, and still manage to get a good night's rest. I guess I'm doomed. Dumb music theory. Who even needs college? Freaking homework. I continue to huff and puff while I make my way across campus, my hands clenching and unclenching on my backpack straps while I try to calm myself down inside. I moan, trying to push on even though my backpack feels like it's filled with 100 bricks. I finally spot my bike and nearly fall over in relief as I pick up the pace to get there as soon as possible. Yes, I shout out in victory when I attack the bike rack, grabbing the metal in my hands and leaning on it for support. A group of girls pass by, giving me weird looks, and I narrow my eyes on them before laughing nervously. Nothing to see here, ladies. I assure you. They stalk away, glancing back at me. I shake my head and bend down, crouching beside my bike and twisting the lock back and forth, each number simmering in my mind until the metal pops open. My cheeks still burn from the stares of my classmates. Nice going. Now everyone on campus is going to think you're ear freak. Wow, I really need to stop talking to myself. I dig into my bag, pulling out my trusty headphones. They are a little beat up on the outside, but they have always been reliable. I plug them into my old iPod and blast some 𝐊𝐲𝐷𝐿, even knowing the tunes are loud enough for anyone around me to hear. I really couldn't care less. Never be ashamed of music. Baby girl. I come to an abrupt stop before I climb onto my bicycle. Those dumb words need to back up. I'm not in the mood for moping today. Any thoughts of my daddy tend to do that to me, and I can't handle it sometimes, stubbornly clenching my jaw to forget them. I start pedaling away. I weave through an endless sea of students wandering around campus. The shade cast by the trees paints long, mesmerizing lines on the sidewalk. Simple things like these are what make my day bearable, especially when I'm on my way to work. It's essential. Going to work for hours on end, that is, but I hate it with a burning passion. Working as a waitress does that to a person. But here's the thing. I need the money. Desperately. Ever since I can remember, I've been dirt poor. My parents could barely afford to buy me new clothes every new school year, and we only shopped at the Goodwill. I was relentlessly teased for it at school. No one wanted to be friends with the girl that wore the same clothes all the time. The girl who had holes in her tennis shoes. It only got worse after Katrina hit. That awful hurricane quite literally rocked my entire world. In more ways than one. My bike shakes underneath me as I run over a rock. I straighten out the handlebars and huff a ragged sigh. Of course, this is just my luck, pay attention. Hendrix. Get it together. After hours of grueling school today, I really do not feel like working until 2 a.m. But guess what? Life's not fair. My life has been full of ups and downs, and I can't help but feel like college is somehow a turning point for me. It has to be. This is my fresh start. I never really thought I would leave home for school. I was born and raised in Mississippi. It's my home, and my mama's sick. Like, really sick. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. She's been sick ever since my daddy left us behind. I knew I would always be there to watch out for her. Things changed when she insisted I come out here with my friends. She told me I need to experience life and that can't live without Stacy and Miranda. And I knew she was right. It was a hard thing to do, leaving her behind, but it's her wish for me. I can't deny Mama that, especially since she doesn't have long left. Ever since I arrived here I've felt a keen sense of change. Virginia is drastically different from Mississippi, but I don't think culture shock is to blame. I haven't tried to explain it to anyone, but the constant feeling in my gut is pretty terrifying. It is as if every muscle, every nerve ending, every little atom is waiting on pins and needles for something to happen. I can only compare it to being underwater for too long. It's like that tenseness of your body as it waits impatiently for the return to the surface, desperate to breathe again. It's nothing if not unsettling. So here I am, heading to my job as every part of me feels uneasy. I feel like my whole being is just trying to tell me that something big and exciting is just around the corner. I am very suspicious of this sensation. How can something exciting happen when I'm living paycheck to paycheck with anxiety that my new life will come crashing down around me at any second? Money is everything to me now. It's all that I really think about now. My bike rocks back and forth while I ride it past the busiest road in town. The traffic whizzing past doesn't bother me as long as I have tunes blowing full blast in my ears. Music has always been my vice. Who needs drugs and alcohol when you can listen to Robert Plant's voice every day? When I roll up to the diner, it's not exactly packed, but there are plenty of people in there. I narrow my eyes through the windows and then squeeze them shut. Time to get to work. I'm not looking forward to it just because I can't listen to music on the job. The only real downside to my work. But I can always save the music for later. I park my bike round back, not worried about it being out in the open. This town has a very low crime rate, and no one comes back here anyhow. As I walk in through the back door, Ronnie's humming fills my ears and I can't help but smile despite my some mood while I take off my headphones. Ronnie is the cook here at the Pink Chicken. I know. Weird name for a restaurant. Customers remind me daily of that fact. I happen to like it. It's spunky, different. Hendrix, you're eerie. Like usual, Ronnie sings, his full lips pulling up into a smile. 𝐿𝐢𝐧𝐼, a big man, not so much as in tall big, but more in a wide sense. The guy walks over to pull me into a hug. I try backing away, but it's no use. Ronnie's a hugger. He smells like cheeseburgers and cigarette ash. When he pulls away, he winks down at me. I made you your favorite. He reaches to the counter and lifts a milkshake with a long red straw poking out of the mountain of whipped cream. I lick my lips and grab it from his dark hand. Butterfin a milkshake. I'll never know how anyone can eat such a thing. Guess it's not my business, he mutters, going back to flipping burgers on the grill. I smirk at him before giving him a kiss on the cheek. Thank you, Ronnie, I call as I make my way to grab my apron and notebook. I'm a good old-fashioned waitress here. The pay's all right. A bit more than minimum wage. It's hard to find a job in a small college town, so I'm lucky to have found it. I drink my shake quick, but end up with a brain freeze. I try to shake it off while I turn on and head out into the seating area. There's nothing but colorful booths around the place. The flashing, blinking decor sign of your typical 1950s style diner. It's not such a bad atmosphere to spend my time in. You got one at table 14, a couple at 6. Nancy tells me, her eyes darting to me and Stables. She stands at the hostess counter with a few bottles of nail polish out. She blows on her wet, bright red fingernails that shimmer in the neon light. Thank you, Nang. Picking up a pen and clicking it a few times in my hand. Good luck with table 14. She's a classy bitch. She informs me in a hushed voice as she leans towards me, like it's some kind of detrimental secret. I give her a measured nod as I grab a few menus and napkin-wrapped silverware. Thanks for the heads up. Trying to smile. Nancy isn't a great judge of character. She's often judgmental, but she's nice to me, at least to my face. I'll try and watch out. Seriously, she's got evil in her eyes. 𝐊𝐢𝐧𝐼 𝐬𝐩𝐴𝐷 Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. She raises to over-plucked eyebrows before casting her gaze to the booth in question. I look where she motions at the woman who looks to be in her late 20s or early s. She's absolutely beautiful, but in a very natural, refreshing way, as if she doesn't even have to try. Her long, shiny black hair is like a curtain around her athletic figure. I gulp when her eyes cut around the room with a vengeance. Gulping, and shoving on my best smile, I head over to her table with a small spring in my step. Maybe a friendly approach will do the trick. Even the grumpiest of customers can leave happy when in their waitress. Hi there, my name is Hendrix, and he'll be waiting on you today. What would you like to drink? Waiting expectantly, but all she does is stare at me. Her black eyebrows stand out against her beautiful dark skin and light eyes. If I had to guess, I'd say she's Native American. She's gorgeous, but she'd be much prettier if her features weren't twisted into a smear. The woman's nostrils flare, her eyes widening at me in shock. She continues to move her nose. To my authentic 𝐊𝐲𝐬𝐬 𝐑𝐞𝐝𝐬, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience and enthusiasm. Is she sniffing me? I try not to feel self-conscious. I hope I don't smell like a cheeseburger after hugging 𝐊𝐢𝐬𝐬. Maybe I should tell her it's not Bo. Would that be weird? Yeah, probably. After a few awkward moments of eye contact, the woman looks me up and down with a strange expression between awe and disbelief. Wow, I must really stink. We carry co-products. I mumble, and I sound like a complete idiot. Why do I even open my mouth? I swear. Hendrix. And I nod at the question, hoping she doesn't push any more because I can't stand talking about my stupid name. Like Jimi Hendrix. She wonders, dark eyebrows pushing together. And there it is. The question I'm asked every day. Just great. Yes, I'm named after him. I don't explain further, because that would mean talking about my daddy. And that is not happening. It's hard enough to remember him every single time I hear my name, but to have people ask about it makes it worse. The lady won't stop staring at me. All narrowed eyelashes and tough jaw. I don't know why she feels so important to me. It's a strange feeling that I can't quite shake. She folds her lean, muscled arms over her chest with a thoughtful glare of sorts. Water will be sufficient. You can leave now. I startle at her icy tone and words. A pang of unease riddling my chest. Huh, that's weird. I walk away smoothly. It's clear to see why Nazi thought the woman was mean. She clearly isn't very nice, but I have no idea why it's affected me so much. I feel so. To my authentic 𝐊𝐲𝐬𝐬 𝐑𝐞𝐝𝐬, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience and enthusiasm. I'm never angry. To my authentic 𝐊𝐲𝐬𝐬 𝐑𝐞𝐝𝐬, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience and enthusiasm. Even when we do get the occasional snotty customer, I've been called every name in the book, gotten nasty glares, and I've even felt up on numerous occasions, and I just get over it quickly. I don't get mad. It's just not me. So why am I so angry at that girl? It makes no sense. Maybe 𝐿𝐢𝐬𝐵, or maybe it's because she asked about my name. See, I told you. Just look at her. You look up bitch in the dictionary, and you'll get a picture of her. Nazi whispers to me. The lady in question flicks her poisonous stare up at us like she somehow heard us, which I know is impossible. We're way too far away for her to eavesdrop. I try to regain my sense of peace before moving to my next table, but I'm too focused on the nasty pit in my stomach to smile while I continue to do my job. For useless Cedric POV, I rumble up to the school with something akin to anger. Or maybe it's anxiety. I'm not quite sure. I haven't felt anxiety in years. Who knows how long it's been since the ridiculous emotion has riddled me, staring up at the historical building in front of me. I am nervous after all. This isn't what I expected. I'm not afraid of anything. Most certainly not a bunch of college-aged human students. Maybe I'm afraid that he'll kill someone if they get on my nerves. It is possible. I park my bike, slipping off the motorcycle with a glare. I don't want to go in there. I don't want to have a meeting with the school's president. Shoving my keys in my pocket. I know I have no other choice. This is necessary. This is the whole reason I came out here in the first place. I won't let some meeting with some infuriating little human stand in my way. I've already met him, spoke with him, but today is my first day on the job, and they need to make sure everything is in tip-top shape. At least, that's what the email said. Pathetic humans. Large letters spell out administrations above the double doors. I roll my shoulders while I enter the building, still not accustomed to the way the button-up shirt clings to my chest like a skin. Savannah picked them out and bought them on my dime. She insisted that's how they're supposed to fit, but I don't believe her. I know better. No male should be confined to skin-tight clothing. When I walked to the front desk, I quietly observed the woman behind the desk. She's middle-aged with fine lines decorating her face. Her pink sweater has kittens on it. Wire-rimmed glasses hang off the edge of her hooked nose while she concentrates on a crossword puzzle in her lap, completely oblivious to my arrival. Does the gazelle ever notice the lion poised to strike? Once I get to the counter, I clear my throat. The female glances up casually, then does a double take when she spots me. Her eyes widen, and her pink painted mouth parts. The scent of her fear wrinkles my nose, but I try to mask the distaste quickly. I can't any more attention. I have an 8 o'clock with drive. Erwin, I explain, tight-lipped as the human continues to stare at me like I'm some kind of museum attraction. Her cheap perfume wafts around me along with her fear and arousal. I'm not unobservant or naive. A lot of women scent of arousal when they see me, but there's always that hint of fear engulfing it. I always smell fear when in around another living soul. Everyone is scared of me. The woman pushes her chest in the air, her breasts straining against her sweater in an obvious plea to draw my eyes there. But not in the way she wants it to. I look at her with disgust. Pathetic humans. 𝐿𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐬 𝐷𝐐𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐬𝐿𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸 fumbles with the computer. The receptionist spends some time clicking away on the device, her long nails making small noises on the keyboard. She suddenly faces me with a shy smile. "Just go right in. Honey, second door to the right. I'll be waiting," she says, leaning forward to show some cleavage. I don't spare any time waiting around. I need to get away from the overbearing woman before I go completely insane. It was hard enough not showing her how upsetting her manners really were. That's a sight I won't soon forget. Unfortunately, I shiver in revulsion. When I get to the door, I don't spare a knock. I just walk right in. I have to mentally scold myself for that minor slip-up. I'm too used to the world I've been living in. Humans don't know my status or power. They can't sense things. They don't have instincts like the supernatural. They're too weak, too mundane. The president is sitting with his feet propped up on his desk, lazily laid back in his leather swivel chair with enough arrogance to make me roll my eyes. Another human sits across from him. She's a cigarette hanging from between her fingers as she laughs at something he must have said before I entered the small room. They both turn to look at me standing in the doorway. The president's mouth opens, his jaw lowering while he looks me up and down. We've already met, mind you. The humans can never seem to contain their reactions when they see me. It's clear across their faces. The same goes for the human woman. She adjusts her blonde hair and wipes at her cheeks, clearly trying to look her best as the scent of fear tings with a heavy dose of excitement. Excitement of all things. "Professor Riley, nice of you to join us," Owen says, gulping as his dark eyes flicker around. The male is too scared to make eye contact with me. I try not to show how smug that makes me. I also forgot that I'm to be under the cover name of Riley. Any werewolf or lichen would hear the name 𝐊𝐢𝐬 and run for the hills. All of this would be pointless if that happened, in trying to keep a low profile, which is exactly why I can't scratch the eyes out of female looking at me like I'm a piece of candy. Pathetic humans. "Well, you did ask me to come here. What is so important?" I asked darkly, narrowing my eyes on the male who is practically shaking behind the desk. He straightens his tie as if it might bring him some sort of relief. Maybe ground him a bit. But it doesn't help. 𝐿𝐤𝐳 useless this way. Yes, of course. I just wanted to make sure that you have everything prepared for your first class and that you are settling in well. He mumbles, his eyebrows furrowed in concentration like each word is a chore to get past his lips. I hold back the feeling of annoyance. I'm out of practice with this. I'm not used to being around humans. I haven't had a full conversation with one in years. Yes. Owen's eyes widen, and he clears his throat. You went over Professor Martin's syllabus. He pushes. Oh yes. The professor that I am filling in for no. Shrugging my shoulders, I observe the president with a bored look. This is taking up my time, and he should know it. Instead, he has the nerve to protest some more like whatever he has to say actually holds some importance. But 𝐿𝐤𝐳 has been teaching history here for years. 𝐿𝐤𝐳 perfected his syllabus. I expect you to teach what's on it. He insists, and I refrain from goading him into submission. I must be glaring since he suddenly looks as if hell piss himself. Pompous human. I went over this syllabus you worship, and it was to my liking. If it's my class, I will teach what I consider important for the children to learn about this world's history. Believe me, I know a lot more about it than Professor Martin. I spit, and the male flinches. The other human just watches idly on the sidelines. But Professor Martin is nearly 40 years your senior. It's just preposterous to say that if Professor Martin wanted to teach his syllabus so bad, then he would be here to teach it. Wouldn't he? I ask him, knowing full well that the professor is out because he had to get a new replacement. Unfortunately, they hadn't found a temporary replacement for him for the whole semester. Until me. It's late September. They lasted a few months before the guard sent me, getting by with a makeshift substitute every now and again. The humans don't know about my real mission here. I'm treading on delicate territory around them as it is. I can't have any slip-ups. I just can't help hating the way humans question me sometimes. It is very aggravating. I have become too used to people doing what I wish without any questions. My alpha tone would work on a human, more than any werewolf or lichen, but they would not understand it, and I'm not here to arouse suspicion. But the students, they have been learning the curriculum since forever. They're studying for midterms. You can't just come in here and change the syllabus. President Erwin demands. And I clench my jaw, tilting my head to the side. When he spots the expression on my face, he leans so far back into his chair, shrinking down into it like it could swallow him up. If only it would. That would save me an immense amount of trouble. It seems I have to explain everything to this pea-brained human. I assume that your students are smart. He just stares at me with wide eyes, giving a slight nod to indicate that assumption is correct, his skinny shoulders shaking a bit under his suit coat. I'm sure by human standards they are intelligent by some degree. Then they can learn from my curriculum. It's not impossible. President, I assure you, this argument is over. I use my alpha tone on the last part to ensure that the conversation is finished, and too tired to continue playing games with the mortal. Besides, I have a class to get to. I try to leave, but I find my path suddenly blocked by the female. She gazes up at me with half-lidded eyes as if she just woke up. I can tell she does this on purpose, trying to look appealing, and it is anything but. In Professor Henderson, but you can call me 𝐿𝐤𝐳, she says breathlessly, her fierce milk cancelling out any arousal. The scent of fear has a way of doing that. No matter how much of it there is, it always seems to erase everything else with its pungent touch. The human professor is tall for a human, wearing bright red high heels. She bats her eyelashes up at me and grins. Let me know if there's any way I can help you get a little more comfortable here. I'd love to be of service. 𝐿𝐤𝐳 murmurs. The invitation is clear in her voice, and I don't want what she's offering. The thought alone makes me want to gag. I'm no saint. Unfortunately, unlike every other lichen on the planet, I didn't wait for my mate. I broke after a few hundred years and went crazy with Overindellison, and then regretted it later. I was sure after that my mate would hate me when she met me. Then another few hundreds of years passed me by, and now I know that finding her isn't likely. I don't think he'll ever come across my mate. I don't know if she died long ago, or if she just hasn't ever existed. There's no way of knowing. Even if I don't get to have a mate, I won't stoop that low again, especially with a human of all things. So when this one tries to make an offer, I cringe, taking a step back as I open the door behind me. I need to get out of the crowded office before I snap. I hear the door slam, watch my feet eat up the sidewalk as I rush outside, and yet I don't slow down. Not even once. This is a trial I need to take one step at a time. And if I make a mistake now, I'll forgive myself for letting Wheeler down. 5 How sweet it is, 𝐿𝐷𝐸 we're all locked up here, says Nancy. She's smacking on a wad of gum the size of my fist, made of numerous pieces of gum, the many flavors and brands chewed together in a big old ball. I try not to let her show how grossed out I really am by her smacking on the bubblegum. I don't want to hurt her feelings. To my 𝐿𝐷𝐸 𝐷𝐞𝐝, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Have a good night, I tell her, waving over my shoulder while I tear off my white apron in a hurry, ready to be gone. It's 2 a.m. and I'm more tired than a dead woman, and he'll be sleeping like a baby tonight. I have literature history in the morning at 8:30, so I have to be up and dressed as soon as I can. It's a fun class, lots of interesting things to learn in that field. Unfortunately, I've never met my actual professor since HES been gone the whole semester. I'm always sort of amused at seeing each new substitute that files in through the door. All different shapes and sizes of people from different backgrounds there to teach us about the same thing. It's a fun guessing game to see who will be next. I sometimes hope in the back of my mind that our real professor will get better soon. I've heard many things about him, one of them being that he is absolutely ancient, like a walking mummy. Who better to teach a subject about history? Right. When I reach my bike, there's a bit of a nip in the air that was there before. Pulling my small jacket around my shoulders and cursing myself for not dressing better the weather. I'm wearing a dress of all things today, as I do most days, but today I went without leggings. My typical uniform is a skirt or a dress. Growing up in the hot, humid summers of Mississippi, I'm just used to veering towards lighter, flowy clothes that don't cling to me. Clothes like that are the closet thing to being in your own personal oven. I've heard it gets hot here in Virginia. It is still part of the South after all, but nowhere near as hot as what I'm used to. That's not even mentioning the cold they have here. Oh, how I despise the cold. I can't imagine the snow. I've never even seen the fluffy white substance. My body is not accustomed to the weather quite yet, and I have yet to accept it eventually, even if it is only 65 Fahrenheit, which is apparently not that cold. I do get chilly. I'm the only one it would seem. Everyone else around here struts around this campus like the Arctic weather has no effect on them whatsoever. I've seen so many girls in shorts and T-shirts while they've even bundled up. Today was supposed to be warmer, but not now. It's 2 a.m. and the chill has returned with her awful vengeance. I just can't wait to get home and shove on some cozy pajamas and snuggle into bed like all my worries are gone. College life is not forgiving. I can't think about my monstrous pile of homework without wanting to groan and shed a few tears. I clamber onto my bike ungracefully, my legs on either side of the seat, rubbing at my eyes. I try to put my headphones and pick from my substantial music library. I end up choosing some James Taylor. I crank the song to full volume, closing my eyes as the night breeze ruffles through my long hair that is still pulled up into a ponytail. Nodding my head along to the music, I'm startled when I have the sinking feeling that someone is watching me. I despise that sensation. My whole body freezes where I stand. My eyes slowly pry themselves open to glance around in a worried frenzy. My gaze is drawn to a large cluster of dark, leafy bushes parked along the side of the building beside the dumpsters. I squint, not quite able to see with the lack of the sun and all, reminding myself of the fantastically low crime rate in the area. I try to reevaluate the situation with some reality. In being paranoid, as much as my racing heart is afraid, I know it's not likely to be a serial killer or a rapist. It's probably some gutter rat, Or maybe a stray cat or dog wandering the streets looking for scraps. The bushes rustle, and even though I can't hear the branches scratching against each other over the music blaring in my ears, I can see the unsettling movement of the plants. Something is in there. I pause a little longer, staring and staring until the rustling stops abruptly. My breath rushes out of my lungs in a whoosh. My chest burns. I didn't realize it holding my breath. One thing comes to mind. The group of kids at the cafe that gossiped about that old man on the news who spoke about seeing wolves in the woods. Obviously, that's impossible. Virginia. Unheard of. But somehow, a creeping hound of cold dread tickles up my shoulders and into my heart. An image flashes in my brain of snapping jaws and drooling teeth that look like daggers. The picture should be terrifying, absolutely shocking. But that's not my reaction to it at all. It intrigues me. Pushing the bizarre emotions away, I start pedaling away from the scene without looking back. When I open the door to our apartment, I'm literally pounced on like a mouse, making Stacy the hypothetical house cat. Her hands pin me to the wall roughly. I gasp. You scared us. How dare you take so long to get home? What the hell happened? She demands. And she's a sight for sore eyes after a long day. And an even more strenuous night working late hours. Stacy is easier on the eyes now that her daily artwork of makeup is wiped clean. That means there's no glitter to burn my corneas. What a relief. What do you mean? I get home this late every night. Which isn't exactly true. After the incident at the diner, I drove home carefully. My vigilance was turned up high as I observed my surroundings with a new eye. I shrug my shoulders, letting my stuff fall to the floor in a heap. I have a playful smile hanging on my lips. All the tension from the day is slowly leaking away, and I can't be happy about it. I need some relaxation. Even through my happy haze, I can see that Stacy is not amused in the slightest. That's not a good sign. Her eyebrows are pinched, face scrunched in dismay. Did I really scare that bad? Stace. My sentence is interrupted when Miranda flies out of her room. When she spots me in the living room, she runs to me with open arms. Her face is stricken pale. I can't get a word out before she's squeezing the life out of me. My face is pushed to her chest. And since she's so much taller than I am, I try not to think about where exactly my face is located. Even when I try and wriggle a hold, she holds tight as if she doesn't even notice my struggle. You're all right, she murmurs, and I sigh. Man, I really had them worried about me. I didn't think being a few minutes late would be a big deal. That stupid shrubbery would pay for its distraction once I get to work tomorrow. It'll kick the food out of that stupid plant. When Miranda pulls away, I look up at her guiltily. That bad. Scratching the top of my head. All she does is glare, tapping her foot like an angry parent. I half expect her to pull the whole in, not mad. In just disappointed spiel like the parrot she pretends to be. Stacy jumps in. Yes, it was that bad. You gave us a heart attack, hen. Miranda almost called the police. She insists. Her arms folded over her chest as she ridicules me. I have the nerve to blush. I can't imagine how embarrassing that would be. I picture flashing red and blue lights as they catch me riding my busted up bike and I cringe. It's definitely good that we avoided that mishap. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nobel, thoughts out thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I murmur. Miranda nods, but she's still quiet as she watches me with glazed over blue eyes. I can see the remaining ounce of fear lingering that and my guilt swells. I should have known better. Miranda is very overprotective of me and Stacy, but more me in particular for some reason. I don't know if it's because I'm short and weak, or because I wouldn't have to fly. I would be worried about me too. I guess. You delicate little human. Anything could happen to you. Stacy grumbles, pulling me in for a hug as well. I smile at the endearment. Stacy says weird things. I'm not unfamiliar with the way she refers to me as their little human. It's kind of a pet name, if not a weird one. Of course it's obvious that I'm human. We all are. That's just Stacy being Stacy, I guess. Let's watch a movie. A good Disney movie will fix just about anything. I tell you, Stacy proposes triumphantly. Arms in the air. The grin on her face is enough to make me relax. The guilt simmering away with each passing second. I voice my agreement. But Miranda just nods. It seems she's not recovered yet. I can't help being perplexed at her state. She must be being worried sick. And it has completely faded away. Her long torso is stiff. Her spine straight as a board. While Stacy fumbles through her collection of Disney movies, I link my elbow with Miranda's. Her long, slim arm is strong but somehow restrained and taut. I swallow my guilt and smile at her pleadingly, leading her to our plush couch to sit down. We plop onto the cushions in a pile. I try to coax a smile onto her own lips by tickling her, and it works momentarily, but the fleeting sign of happiness is gone in seconds. Her stoic mood won't last long because of course Stacy chooses Mulan. We all love it. It's just that it's her favorite movie of all time. This again. We watched this less than 2 weeks ago. I insist, groaning in pretend anguish. My teasing mood is my way of trying to get Miranda to lighten up. It doesn't work. Stacy turns to send me a death glare, her short, black hair whipping to the side. You're just jealous because you're white. I, however, can relate to the Chinese culture of my ancestors, she says in a fake posh voice. And then we just laugh. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Noben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing crave enthusiasm. Stacy has strong ties to China. Her whole family is Chinese, despite Miranda being her cousin somehow. I don't know how they're related at all. They don't have any Disney princess fresh out of a trailer park, and I can't blame them. I throw back, and Stacy shakes her head while I just chuckle. They don't like me putting myself down, especially when it has to do with how poor I am, or my rough upbringing. As the movie starts up, I turn to Miranda and snuggle into her. I don't know why, but I always feel like I need to please her, make her approve of me in some way. It's almost like she's the head of our makeshift household, and it just feels natural to me. I hate when she's upset. It makes me uncomfortable and insecure. I can't explain it, even though I still hold some guilt for her sour mood. A part of me is happy that they miss me that much, that they were so incredibly worried when I didn't get home on time. It's just nice to be reminded how sweet my friends are, and how much they truly care about me.